Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. It's the 8th installment of the Cannon project, and I can't wait for this one. We've got a newbie. Oh, we love our newbies, don't we? Don't we? We love a newbie. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the game. Remember the game we played against Leicester City, and we're going to talk about the Superman that is Aaron Ramsdale, and we might just be talking about the gentleman who's just been shown the exit door at Spurs. But anyway, before we get into this one, as usual, we'll get into one on the other side of this music intro. See you in a few seconds. Yes, indeedy. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel. It's 8 in the Monday show. I mean, we love our segments on Cannon for you, but what you can do right about now for us is subscribe. That's all you've got to do. All right, now for the intros. Top right, Richard the first. How are you, geezer?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's good to be back on the channel for so long. But yeah, I'm good. You know, I'm still recovering for COVID, and still a bit ill now. But yeah, I'm good. I'm buzzing.
Brilliant. Well, I've got to say, Richard the First is one of the oldest contributors actually on Cannon for TV. He hasn't been on it for a while, but welcome back, Richard the First. Yeah. Richard the Second, making a debut. How are you, Richard?
I'm good, thanks. I get a bit of an illness, so if my voice goes, it's because of that. It's called myasthenia gravis. It's a weakness of muscles, but I'm doing good. I've got a great weekend and great results after our game. It's left us quite good.
Yeah. Quick question. How long have you been supporting Arsenal, geezer?
My first game was 1978, Wrexham FA Cup semi-final. And then I went to the final. They were my first two games supporting Arsenal and watching Arsenal live.
So you haven't been supporting Arsenal that long then?
No, not long.
I'm joking. Daniel Day-Lewis, good evening.
Good evening, all. How are you all? We're all good this side of the Irish Sea anyway. And like I said, I'm flying solo tonight. My spiritual leader has left me, but anyway, I'll plow on. We keep him in our mind.
Well said. Richard the Second, because you are a newbie here, I've got a question for you. Have we missed this gentleman? Have we missed him?
Not recently, no. I mean, I don't think so, no. He does offer something different with his long-range passing, but we haven't missed that. We look good without him, I think.
Do you think once he's fully fit that he'll be put straight back in, or do you think Arteta might say, actually, let's not rock the boat because things are working without you so far?
I think he'll go on form, and he'll say to him, "You now have to earn your place back in this team."
Richard, I hope so, Richard. I hope so. Tim, what do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely not being missed, and I'm going to praise myself here. I remember the first match that I saw Samuel Lokonga, I said, this guy has something. He's the real box-to-box midfielder, and I feel like even the last day, Brendan Rodgers was giving out about a tackle and the build-up, I think, to the we'll say the two corners that resulted in the first goal, and that was Lokonga. But more impressively is that Thomas Partey is way better now. He's like that long passing that Richard was talking about. I think that Thomas Partey is kind of feeding into that now. He's getting a lot of ball up the field. Ben White was excellent. Again, I know it was the Carabao Cup, when he was excellent both days, but he's excellent. He's transitioning the ball up the field. In the Leeds match, the Carabao Cup game was unbelievable. He really is developing into that type of a player that's going to, like David Luiz had that supposedly quality, but then he's kind of maybe deficiencies that we often highlighted. But like Ben White, I think feels comfortable with the midfield of Thomas Partey and Sammy Lokonga in front of him, and obviously Gabriel provides a lot of physicality. But ultimately, look, the defence as a unit is much stronger. But to go back to your original question, Xhaka, look, he's a good player. He wasn't he valued at 20 million there just before around September, so he hasn't gone back that bit. But definitely Arsenal's young players and their very, very astute signings have really come into this in the last couple of months or the last month or so. And like he will earn it to get his place back. Form is going to be a big, big factor, I think, in this.
Richard the First, have we missed Xhaka?
No, I don't think we have personally. I think the game where we have missed him was against Brighton, where it was a poor performance against Brighton, but I think we did miss him in that game because when Brighton were kept attacking us, we needed someone in that midfield that would actually take a person down and try and retrieve the ball and ping the ball for the diagonal crosses. I think for that game against Brighton, we did miss him. But for the other games, no, I don't think we do, because I think Lokonga, Traves as well. I think those guys have been absolutely phenomenal, and I think it's one of the best signings for Arsenal so far as well. But for the games that we've played, no, we haven't missed Granit Xhaka at all.
Same question to you, though, Richard. Do you think once he's fully fit, sometime early January or mid-January, do you think Arteta might say, well, you're one of my senior players, you deserve to be back in there, or will he go on form? What do you think?
I think what Mikel Arteta needs to do, he needs to tell Granit Xhaka, you need to fight for your position now, because Lokonga has been playing outstanding for us at the moment, and he's got a good partnership with Thomas Partey in that midfield as well. So I reckon Granit Xhaka, he needs to fight for his position if he wants to get back into the starting 11 again.
Okay, well, let's wait and see what happens. What happens with that, indeed. So yeah, the person of the moment, although we got the business done. Tim, were you surprised actually that we beat clean sheet on Saturday, Tim?
Yeah, and actually talking about, we have definitely the clean sheet was impressive, but. And I suppose we've often said here that the spine of our team just didn't look good. We'd spent all this money, like 25 million, I think, 30 million on Ramsdale. Now, that's money well spent, I have to say. 50 million on White. So they were the big, big signings that were brought in after maybe we didn't see the Chelsea defeat, 2-0 at home, the mauling from Man City. Then we said, look, get all these guys in. Let's see what they look like playing together. So that clean sheet is reflective of those two quality signings, but equally, it's reflective of two outstanding developing. Now, I'm not saying they're the finished article, but two outstanding developing fullbacks. And the other point I think I have to make at this point is that Gabriel, like always to me, brought that kind of aggression, that real physicality. In Ireland we call it the old Kevin Moran factor. In other words, he plows in like fearless, really. But I think with White beside him, and definitely with Ramsdale, his distribution, he's nearly past that back to Ramsdale. The amount of ball that he gets and just passes back, feels that Ramsdale is better at distributing the ball out from the back, while he sees himself as being kind of that major rock on which which the opposition attacks are going to perish. So in other words, he's really playing to his strengths. He feels really confident with Ramsey at the back. Both fullbacks are full of enthusiasm, full of running. And I was only looking up there today that Tomiyasu is actually, you can see by looking at him anyway, but he plays a lot of football at centre back. So in other words, he's a real big, aggressive player as well. Like the Arsenal, I suppose, reservations we had were that Ben White maybe wasn't the tallest player in the world, that we needed physicality. we felt he had a lot to offer in terms of transitioning, and definitely like after watching the Carabao Cup game, which I do completely understand that it was maybe a lesser game in terms of, and look, we made this, was it 9 changes, so like that was unbelievable to make those 9 changes. Ben White was one of the ones that was retained. He played really well, and it's funny that Richard mentioned the Brighton match. The Brighton match was actually, remember, that was bad weather, in very kind of, really under pressure, and it was kind of the start of that kind of we will not be beaten. And even the last day, like Leicester had their areas of their times of dominance. They had their purple patches, but still Arsenal held out. Arsenal worked hard. They got the ball out the field, and of course Lacazette in his kind of newer role, or more kind of maybe central, or coming back playing slightly deeper, has really become a great outlet for the ball. Like, he's worked great. It was remarkable actually to see him when he replaced Eddie Nteka on the Wednesday night, because Nteka had played really well. He looked really good. And next thing, they brought Lacazette on, and when Lacazette came on, you saw like that he kind of had a different suite of talents. He was more kind of, he was a much more aggressive player in a tight situation, and better at holding up the ball, while Nteka has that kind of playing off the shoulder. Look, people describe him as kind of like Ian Rice in the mid. Oh, he's a bit behind that, but you can see what they talk about. He has that explosive quality, peeling off the defender and going one-on-one. So, like, I feel overall that Brighton game, that clean sheet, like, that was the early signs that we really are not going to be broken, but is easy to break down as we were earlier in the season.
Richard, your thoughts on the game yesterday, especially with Ramsdale. Do you think he's been the main catalyst because of the passion, the communication, the consistency? What's your thoughts?
I think the catalyst is not only Ramsdale. I think his distribution helps the way the team wants to play. But since that City game, when Arteta's had his first choice back five and the team he's wanted, we've played better. Yeah, still a long way to go. But they've only had, 6-7 games together. So they've still got to get that cohesion. They've still got to get that understanding. But there have been signs in each game that that's progressing. The Brighton game, everyone has an off day. I mean, how many of those players would have gone to a wet, torrential rain, howling wind that's swirling everywhere, and played in those conditions? But that said, didn't play very well. Should have lost that game. Didn't. Came to Palace. Palace were a really good team. Our record against Palace isn't fantastic, but we get another draw, and then we followed up with 2 good wins. Now, when I look forward at a game, I look at how we do against a particular team, home or away. And at Leicester, again, our record at Leicester, 8 draws, 6 wins, 2 losses. So, realistically, that game was looking at a draw. And in the Leicester game, you have to put that down to Ramsdale. The amount of, especially that Maddison double save, I think, had you not got that, I think Leicester would have got a draw or even won that game. That point was a turning point in that game, I believe.
Richard, when you look at Arsenal, do you still not think the first team could probably still be upgraded? Do you not think that some positions were still quite weak?
First 11, I'm happy with. What's been our problem for a long time is 11 to 17, or having putting a second string out in lesser games. They haven't been up to that quality, and that's where we still need to improve. We're probably another 4 or 5 players away from being able to have 2 players in every position. We got left back covered. We got the goalkeeper covered. Centre back, fine. Right back, possibly. But Saka goes down injured. Who you got?
Yeah.
If you go put over and Latter out, who you got?
But then before I go to Richard the first, what about Saka? Because Saka to me looks tired. He needs a break. Richard.
Who did you bring in?
Yeah.
Going to the Leicester game and my thoughts on it. For me, that was actually a solid away performance for Arsenal. I think if it wasn't for Schmeichel in that game, I think we could have at least won 3-0. That's how convincing that win was against Leicester. And I think at the moment for us as a team and how we're going forward, I think that Nuno Tavares, Ramsdale, Tommy Yasu, Lukongo, I think those players have given Arsenal the hunger to go and win games now. It's gave us that bit of a motivation, that hunger that we've been missing for a very, very long time. Now, you've got to give Mikel Arteta the credit, because we all thought with these signings that came in, we was a bit humming and ahhing about them, because some of them we didn't necessarily know about. We didn't know what type of quality they could bring to Arsenal. So you got to give Mikel Arteta the credit for that and the way he's built this team. I think what Mikel Arteta has done, he's building the team from the back and then to the front. So he's making sure he's got a decent goalkeeper that's got decent distribution, who's quick on his feet, that's good at reactions as well. The time of when to come off the line and when not to come off the line, and bringing the likes of Ben White in. I know he was a bit overpriced for my liking for £50 million, but Ben White has proven that he is capable for the job, and he's built a good partnership with Gabriel at the back. Our defence is now coming, that it's stable, it's now balanced. Everyone knows what they're doing in terms of the back line. But going to the Leicester game in particular, there has been times that we've seen over the years or over the seasons as well, where we've had a bit of a storm against teams away from home, where we've sat back, we've let them come attack us, but we haven't exactly weathered it. We haven't counter-attacked it or anything. We've just gave away silly goals. Our defence has been poor, where we've just completely switched off. But now, looking at the away games now, I think that is a turning point now for Arsenal against Leicester, that we can go and get convincing wins away from home. So I'm enjoying the way we are at the moment. I've got no complaints. At the moment, the way I'm looking at Arsenal is that if we can keep our main players strong and fit until the end of the season, I honestly think that top 4 and top 6 is up for grabs for us to go and get by the end of the season. I think that should be our main target. I know Edu came out ages ago and said that let's not think about targets or anything like that. Well, actually, we're Arsenal Football Club. That's what we should be doing. We should be looking at potential targets that we are capable of. I know the last 2 seasons where we've ended up 8th is nowhere near Arsenal standards. As a club, that's not our standard. We need to be going to get top 4 or anywhere above top 4. I honestly think that if we can keep our main players strong and fit by the end of the season, I honestly think we can go and get top 4 by the end of the season. Honestly.
Tim, top 4.
Top 4. Oh, I tell you, I was here last week and I was, I think I promised a number, but I never gave it. Well, it's definitely single digit and moving up. Moving up quick. But just to say one thing there, a point that I think you made yourself, Alex, about Saka. Like last year, if Saka and Tierney didn't play well, we were in trouble. Like we were in deep, deep trouble. They were the ones they were the ones providing the bit of flair. They were our go-to guys. Like Tierney's now out injured. Saka's a bit of a dip, probably I'd say more just tiredness than anything else. And still, we look very impressive. Like another guy, do you remember last year the whole thing was based around Odegaard? Odegaard can't get in the team now. Joe, now I'm not saying I feel he has a lot to offer. I feel like long term he's going to be a very good player. But like Lacazette has made that kind of forward pivot nearly his own. Aubameyang's work rate is really up again. He looks sharp. But of course, like I think the point is that we are creating more chances as well. Like definitely two good attacking fullbacks, Smith Rowe and Lacazette holding up the ball in a kind of advanced positions. That all creates chances. And Thomas Partey and Ben White do transition the ball well. I mean, I'm a big fan of Gabriel, a big fan of Sammy Lokonga. I'm great for those style of players. But like as they say in another sport I follow, you need piano players and piano carriers. Like, and I think we have a nice combination at the moment. We have both groups are well represented, and we're young. We're young. Two very young kind of fullbacks. Smith Rowe, young, Saka. Now the one caveat I would say is that players behind them. Now, the other night, we had Cedric, I think it was Cedric holding twice. I forget who the other fullback was. They were they're older players. Kolanicic was the other fullback. So in other words, our like we have youth in the first team, but maybe the placement players or the players that will be coming in maybe aren't as youthful, and maybe we probably need a bit of development there. All right, and like you were saying, Joe, you do need options. You do need a kind of a creative players. Like it's looking like the biggest disappointment to me. Like it's been a brilliant week. Put out you had a good win a good draw against Palace, good win against Villa. Put out your second team or 9 of the 9 changes. Good win in the Carabao Cup and a good win against Leicester. So a lot of players being used, a lot of momentum being built up. So that's all very positive. But the one thing that would concern me is Pepe and Martinelli were playing the other night, and neither of them, like they both looked. Pepe in particular, now Martinelli maybe not as bad, but Pepe looks like 70 million. It's unbelievable, really. It's just unbelievable looking at him now. Now, people say that he gets a ball in kind of advanced, kind of turning in, coming in on his left from the right hand side, that he's very dangerous. But that's a very, very specific area and a very specific, a very limited kind of attacking option. So you have to be careful. So that's one place I feel that there's definitely going to be some bit of a change in the January transfer window. They'll have to move some of those players on, or see can they try and reinvent them. But of course, you have Odegaard there. Odegaard could easily play, I'd say, left or right, and he would obviously be the first man in, I'd say, if there was a change required. You know?
But Al, the only thing is, it's mainly now. What my worry is for Arsenal is about, can we keep it consistently? You know, is our mentality going to drop? Is it going to drop? Because we've seen in the past where we've gone on a good run of form, and then all of a sudden our mentality's just completely changed. Our heads have just completely dropped. They've mainly been looking about 5-6 games ahead, when really they should only be focusing on one game at a time.
Yeah,
that's been our main
we need consistency.
problem. That we cannot keep a consistent level, and that's what separates the men from the boys. Is having the consistency. And I think that's what Arsenal need to.
But Richard, you look at the first team. How many players still can you say they have the characteristics of being leaders? There's not many. There are not many.
Lokonga was captain of Anderlecht party. Gabriel. You look at how Ramsdale acts.
Yeah.
And you've got over there who's
the
captain.
One player in particular for me that stands out who should be captain. That's Kieran Tierney. I've said it from last season. Kieran Tierney should be captain, but he's injury prone. Yeah. That's the problem. He gets injured quite a lot. We need a captain. That's going to be on that field every day. At least put in 110% in out of 4 games. 4 games out of 5. So you can have at least one crap game, but then all the other 4 games have to be top notch.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim, you want to say? Sorry.
Yeah, just to say like that from in terms of the captaincy is that like White, Ramsdale, Gabriel, Partey, Lukonga, if one of those could develop into kind of a leader, it would be very good because they're in central play, they're in central positions, they're where the play and that's going to be being decided. Like, I mean, Thierry Henry was a captain, and he was but like Thierry Henry, it's very few strikers. Or Harry Kane, like, I mean, Harry Kane now supposedly, didn't see the Spurs match, but like as someone says, he didn't pack up his tools and just give up. He didn't even bring his tools. So in other words, that's the mindset. So in other words, a front man that's a captain, and if he has a dip in form or if he's just not engaging, it looks very bad. While a central player, often they kind of play themselves in. It's like Richard was saying there. You want your central players or your captain to be, where the game is being decided, putting in those 4, 5, 6, 7 matches like in a row where he's really the dominant player in the team, and I think it's hard to achieve that if you're a striker and you also have the weight of trying to get goals or making the runs, trying to provide a press. So, and look, Aubameyang is a brilliant player, a great athlete, but like I don't think he's not naturally kind of he has the natural leadership about him. Like now he can lead, he can do brilliant things. He's so and that in itself is a form of leadership. But he's not very vociferous, I would imagine, and he wouldn't be kind of a player that would rally rally his teammates in a time of crisis. That would be an issue I would have with him. But like I have to say, he's playing reasonably well this season, and he went through a bad old dip there towards the end of last season. So, one other thing actually would bring up is that Lacazette and Aubameyang and all those players, like they're kind of old. So they're like, we have a lot of youth in Smith Rowe and Saka, Tavares, Lukonga. We have youth, all right, but actually as an attacking entity, our players are definitely kind of aging now. Entekia looked the other night. He's a kind of very young. He's developing, and maybe he might be the answer. But definitely the players we have at the moment that we're expecting to get the goals or maybe hold up to create the goals are that bit older, and that could be an issue long term.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even though November's notoriously bad for us, I would be more looking at December 28th to round about February the 6th, is it, when the African Cup of Nations? And you're losing Pepe, you're losing El Neni, you're losing Partey, you're losing Oba. Yeah. What do we do then? Who do we have for cover? Are we getting anyone in? Notoriously hard to get strikers in that time. So what's the plan then? How do we cope in that period? Richard, you said about the points. Now, about the position. Now, for me, I'd rather go for points because between 2018 and the current season, 4th position, you've had a points tally of 66 to 76, a 10-point swing. So, any points in between there could guarantee you 4th, depending on the season as a whole. If you look our last 2 seasons, first season we finished 8th, we got 56. Last season we got 61 points. But in 2 of the previous seasons, that would have been enough to get us European places. So it's really hard to say just a position, because that position will change based on the points in the league. So I would rather say, let's get our aim this season is to get X amount of points. So if we got 61 last season, let's say we go for 70 to 76 points, and that'll be our range, and then see where that finishes us.
That's a really good point, Richard. That's an excellent. I know we spoke about that last week in the live chat, but Darren Day, what do you think about that? Rather than looking at a positional finish, how many points we have at the end of the season?
Yeah, and definitely, yes, of course, the end of the season. But even I was just looking at there the other day. I was saying, like, we have Watford, Newcastle, and I think Everton, and I think I'm missing United and
Liverpool.
Liverpool. They're the next couple of matches, right? So you have to look at them kind of like, I think, like at this stage, we want to be getting to see. I think we're better than Newcastle. We're better than Watford, and Everton is a real kind of what I would say. That's a real kind of good test from the point of view. Rafa Benitez, an older kind of, but I think we'll get the win there. And like, there's definitely if we can build momentum, and I think like the points as you get towards, would say February, March. It's as I say, call it, every match is a relative fixture. In other words, you are in a little sub league of 4 to 5 teams. Everyone's progressing. If you can beat one of those teams, that's almost like a 6-pointer. And then you have the other option that if you pick up a win, when maybe other 2 or 3 of those other 5 teams lose, that propels you up the table. So I do. Richard's point is perfectly valid, and I would definitely absorb it. But as the season goes on, the emphasis changes, and you have to kind of it's your relative improvement to the teams around you is very, very, very important. And like, you have to nearly be targeting like who are going to be to beat Leicester away is a colossal fixture, because Leicester, every time there's a job, Brendan Rodgers' name has been mentioned. I'd say like he was looking at that fixture as being a big game for him. He was going to kind of put his name in lights, beat Arsenal. Arsenal going to, now he conceded 2 goals, then he couldn't break them down. The goalkeeper, of course, was inspired. Peter Schmeichel said the double save, was the best save he saw in a number of seasons. But even still, the work rate from our 2 central midfielders, Gabriel likes physicality, and the pure solid enthusiasm of our 2 fullbacks were big factors in that. So I think if you're looking at it now, you're saying Mikel Arteta has kind of, he's got his house in order. He's spent a lot of money, but the money is coming home. Like, I looked it up there. What's his name? Tomiyasu was 8 million. Now, 8 million is a lot of money, but 8 million is not, like, by Premiership standards, is a relatively cheap signing. Like, when you consider 50 million, 30, 40 million for quality players, like, he's a real good signing. And Tavares, I forgot what it is, but he was a relatively cheap signing too. Like, they are 2 very, very astute boys. Ben White could develop into that little kind of that bit of how would I say, that diamond that brings all the rest of them together. He looks like a very good player at transitioning up the field. And you ultimately have with White and with Thomas Partey is that we will possibly get those long balls up and create more chances. And Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Lacazette, they look sharp. They will keep that ball up there. We will get scores. So Richard's point is perfectly valid, but we have to be very conscious of the teams around us. And one of those teams was definitely Leicester. Leicester were eyeing up top 4, and now I think we are definitely in the fight for that now at this particular moment.
I mean, I would also go on and say, out of those games, the only one I'm really looking at is that Liverpool game.
Oh, yeah.
I expected us to win that.
Yeah.
But what I want to go and see is a performance. Yes, you can lose 2 or 3 goals, but as long as you see that the team's tried, they've put the effort in, they've gone toe to toe.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Liverpool have been better than us, hands up. But at least show that you're willing to go to toe and not stand off them.
Yeah, and so sorry for cutting you across there, Richard. But and also,
I agree.
the league is turning out to be like Man City and Chelsea are probably fighting for the top spot the way things are looking, right? And then Liverpool are probably slightly off that. They probably have the same depth. But if you look at it in terms of managers, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looked completely out of his depth when he takes on those big 3 clubs. But I think with Arteta now, with his new team going well, they all buying into the process, everyone working forward, it'll be very interesting. That Liverpool match, when it's put up to us, when they come at us with that awesome high tempo attacking, pressing game with Mane and all these, Mo Salah and all these, would they put all these the pressure on? Will we hold up? But like you'd have to say, on the performances of the last couple of weeks, we're not going to be easily broken down and we're not going to be intimidated. The players themselves are buying into the process. And I think our process is robust. The biggest problem I see with some of the teams that are around us, or some of the other teams that are challenging for that fourth spot. See the way I've almost said I'm going to finish number 4, Alex. But see, that fourth spot is that our process, our team looks robust. It looks like it will be able to grind out those matches when you don't have possession. That when you kick the ball up to Lacazette, that him and Smith Rowe will give our defence that couple of seconds to just get themselves aligned again. And that Sambi Lokonga, who I have to say is really impressing me, is getting physically stuck in. You're not going to come at him straight down the centre, and you're definitely not going to come at him straight down the centre in a kind of a continuous fashion. He provides a kind of a platform that Xhaka, I tried to, never really achieved for this kind of transitioning game that Ben White and Thomas Partey kind of are probably, it's probably their strongest part of their skill set, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me that party Lokonga.
And you know what?
It's similar to Vieira Petit. They seem to be able to play off each other and understand each other very well. And that it's still young and it still needs building, but I see promise there.
Richard, first.
Oh, do you know what? Tim made an interesting point there where he said that our team is very robust, where we still grind out games where we haven't got possession. And that Brighton game was exactly that. Because Brighton, during that game, they had majority of possession to what we do, but we still managed to get a draw. Even though we didn't play our best, but we still grinded out at least for something. Not like we've seen it before where we haven't played that well, and at the last couple of minutes, our heads switch off and we can see the goal. It was just like the Leicester game last season where we lost 2-1. Our minds completely switched off, and then Vardy scored that last goal where really we was holding out for a draw. And now, if you look at the way Brighton was, yes, we didn't play that great against them, but we still kept our heads to say, look, we are not going to be broken down for them to go and concede a goal. So being robust, as what Tim said, that the game against Brighton, that literally sums it up to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something I'd like to sort of bring up. That I think, Tim, you brought up the other day about tackling. Now, for me, that I've done a bit of research on this, and it's something Arteta changed when he came in. We now tackle this, but we make more tackles per foul and make more fouls per yellow card than we did before. This helps with consistency in the games. There's less stoppages and less chance of yellows following into reds. And it was something that Leicester were sort of did when they won the title. And I'll give you some things. But we are 5th from bottom in tackles this season on 132. And 5th from bottom on yellow cards, 13. Liverpool are bottom. They've made 115 tackles this season and not conceded 9 yellows. Newcastle and Brighton are at top of that list with 170 and 175, and 40 and 24 and 23 yellows. So it does show that it can have a impact on your season. We might be tackling less, but we're actually getting those tackles right, and the type of tackles we're doing aren't as considered as bad. They're niggly, so they're used in the count-up system rather than the serious foul as a straight yellow.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Statman, Richard II, Statman.
very good point. Very good point.
Just one more quick question before we go into the live chat. And that's to everyone. I know Daniel Day has already alluded to the situation with Nicolas Pepe. I think for me, even if I take away the price tag, for me, he's still not done enough. Richard, first, what do you think would probably happen to Nicolas Pepe?
I reckon Nicolas Pepe will probably go into the second team really for the cup games. Because I think in the first team I don't think he's at 100% to be selected in the first team because of the performances he's had. I think he'll go into the second team for now and see. Because really, in that first team, there's not really one person you can say has had a bad game recently in the last couple of weeks. So you can't really take someone out and just to bring Pepe in for a start. So personally, I think Mikel Arteta will just keep him as in the second team for now.
Yeah.
If it comes to it, we probably might have to come up with a solution in January what to do with him, because I know Arsenal are potentially getting rid of 7 players in January, and it depends on who we bring in.
As well. So, and we have been linked with players like Noah Lang. So, will they bring somebody like that in to cover Pepe, and then say, come summer, bye bye. You've had your chance, because he hasn't set a book. I don't think the price tag is his fault. He had a long contract. No. He was scoring goals. We wanted him. We had to pay that money. That's not his fault.
Yeah,
I think that's been the burden. But again, I think Daniel said it the other day. But who did the scouting there? He's not. He is predominantly coming in to the inside onto his favourite foot. He doesn't use that right foot very often. Mm-hmm. And most decent Premier League defenders to figure that out. They double up on him and say go down the outside.
Yeah.
Where he's not much use. And unless he improves on that, I don't see him getting into this thing. You saw Saka, Leicester. He got the draw, go straight at him. Pepe in a similar situation against Leeds. He comes back. Instead of just carry on diving on, he stops, plays about, comes back inside, loses the ball, and then we have to restart. There seems to be either a fear or reluctance to just drive on the outside.
Yeah. But Richard, what I don't understand is that he's been with us like 2 seasons now. 2 seasons. So what is Arteta showing him, or what is he not showing him? We can probably use Saka as a benchmark. If he's not sure what he should be doing, surely he should be asking and speaking. Saka, how do you do that? Does he lack the football intelligence, Richard? Is that what it is?
Possibly. I mean, we heard from Smith Rowe about him and Saka doing extra sessions. Surely Pepe saying, well, I'm struggling. Let me have extra sessions where all I'm doing is going out down the ring and crossing and just using my right foot and getting better with that. Give me extra sessions. I want to improve on that side of my game. Because it's not just down to the coach. A player has to come and say, look, boss, I know I've got to a point. I think I can improve more. I want to try this to make these improvements. Can I do that? Then put that to extra training in. It's not down to Arteta to say, Pepe, look, go out, do an extra 20, 30 minutes, tossing the ball just with your right foot and playing right-footed only.
£72 million. Sorry, Richard, you want to say something?
Is there not? Is there not a possibility that Arteta could actually? Is there not a possibility where Arteta could actually change Pepe's position to a striking position instead of a winger Because when Nicolas Pepe was at Lille, he predominantly played as a striker anyway, as their main man up front. So maybe that would be a change of direction that we could try and put him in.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest.
So if Aubameyang did get injured and we've got no one to cover, at least if Pepe played as a striker in that predominant role, at least we've got cover, and then at least we can have our main wingers out on the wing. All it is just changing his position around.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
give him
let's be honest,
for training
last season,
more as a
stats were
striker.
pretty good.
Yeah, he doesn't like, to be honest about it. Everyone, has this. People compare Aubameyang obviously to who's like Thierry Henry, or you compare like not as good, but you know what I mean? Or people comparing Eddie Nketiah to whoever. Ian Wright. So these sort of comparisons, this player could develop into this iconic star that we previously had. Like Pepe has never shown a characteristic that you would say, my God, he's really going to be, if he a Freddie Lundberg or a Robert Perez, he never looks like he's going to grab hold of a match. And just from a point of view of a striker, I think what they'll do for the striker, if something happened to Aubameyang, is that Odegaard will come in at that kind of second striker role or playmaking role, and Lacazette will be shoved further up. Like, Lacazette is a remarkable player, really, because he's such, how would you put it? Like, he has all the attributes of a big centre forward, except he's not big. He's aggressive. He's good on the ground. He gets stuck in. He puts his head in where he wouldn't put in a hatchet. He's unbelievable, really, for a player that doesn't just have that large frame that you would associate with a big, like, look, everyone was fascinated. I'm sure we suffered at the end of it when Chelsea got Lukaku. That this guy was going to be rip it up. Next thing, defense is adopted. But the thing is that what he was just using was his natural physical power. But Lacazette is actually kind of playing that type of game, but playing with a lot less physical power, with a lot more intelligence. Alex made a great point there a minute ago, talking about football intelligence. Lacazette, to me, has vast football intelligence. He's a real intelligent player. He knows the value of work rate, teamwork, concentration. Like, a skill, and have great skill, like Aubameyang, or developing players that can pull off, let's say, inspirational touches. But to be able to do those in high tempo scenarios, late in games. I mean, the goal against Crystal Palace was a vital goal. Now, looking back on it now, like, it's really stretched out. Or like, I don't know, is it 8-9 games now? Whatever it is, since we haven't had a loss. So, like, I mean, that's what you're thinking about, That's they are brilliant small nuggets that Lacazette brings that maybe no other player we have. Lacazette is and, like, I mean, the whole story was, he'd be going in January. He's going no place. The only thing that's going against him is his possible age profile, and like that, injuries, and that is much more of a concern when you're going further into your 30s. So from the Pepe thing, I would love if they played him up front, maybe, or even as a second striker in the Carabao Cup, and see how he gets on there. See, would he come back the field? Would he create chances? Would he bring players into play? But, like, I don't see him getting a role in the first 11 until he performs. They have Sunderland now in the cup. That's a good fixture from Pepe's point of view. He's definitely going to start that match. So that's his chance. I'm going to perform that night. I'm going to put my name back on the agenda and see how he develops on from there. Okay.
Right, so before we go into the live chat, just one more news segment in regards to. Yes, this gentleman here has been released by Tottenham. Nuno Espirito Santo sacked as head coach. Yeah, after a dismal 3-0 defeat to the hands of Manchester United. So he's now left. I always thought when he left Wolves, I thought that was probably the biggest mistake he made there, because I thought the Portuguese revolution that he managed to develop at Wolves, and they were in the Europa League as well. And he's gone to Spurs, and it just has not worked out, Richard. Hasn't worked out.
Yeah. No, I feel sorry for him. I mean, he's gone to Spurs. At that time, was wanting to go to City. You look at the right back situation they brought in Emerson Royale. We were linked to him at one stage. And to be honest, I mean, a lot of the games I've seen him in defensively is poor. He's more of an attacking wing back. Defensively, he's not there at all. He gets done over too easy. And you can see, you saw after our game, he looked defeated then. And I think the writing was on the wall then. But I think those players have to look at themselves. None of them have covered themselves in glory.
No, definitely not.
And I think that was a perfect game for Ole. Let's not forget, I don't think Ole's capable of getting Manchester United to the Premier League title.
No.
Maybe an FA Cup if he's lucky, but he's not going to win them the Premier League title. He just hasn't got that now. But that game for him was ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't start with Ndombele. And that midfield was so defensive and lacking in creativity that it wasn't a surprise that result happened. But I still think he's a lot better than what's happened at Spurs for him. Yeah. And I hope he gets another decent position somewhere.
Yeah. Tim, you want to say something really quickly before I into
my just one thing is that, look, he was 8th choice. He was supposedly 8th choice for the job, and he left. Like, I mean, maybe the revolution had pacified down a bit, but like he had definitely had created something at Wolves. They were going reasonably well, and he came in. And look, Harry Kane is just doesn't want to be there. Yeah. He's an outstanding player, but he just doesn't want to be there. He's not engaging. The supporters then are probably using, the manager as he's going to be the major focus of their anger. So he was kind of shoved out, really, to be honest about it. And like then this El Sacchio, as it was being called yesterday. So the whole scenario around it. But like you said, he does have potential. He does look like a player or like a manager that has something to offer. With coming to Spurs now, and like this whole story about Antonio Conte coming in, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, he was in before. He was in contention before Nuno, wasn't he? And he turned it down then. So what changed?
No.
I mean, going to throw money at him. I suppose if they sell Kane for 200 million, he might. But
listen, guys, let's go into the live chat for the first time and see Go, Richard, very quickly. Go, Richard. Yeah.
I was going to say, with the whole thing with Nuno Santo like leaving Spurs, I think the game against us, as Richard, I think that was a writing on the wall right there, because I think that during that game, in the first 45 minutes, the game was done and dusted anyway. Like, Nuno tried everything he could to try and get in front of us, but we was always 2 steps ahead. So and to be honest, I don't honestly think the players have been playing for Nuno anyway. To be fair, I really don't. They've been lacking creativity. I know Son has mainly been their main guy. Harry Kane has been invisible at times. So I just think it's been writing on the wall for ages. I know he was only in charge for 124 days. So it's not really long enough. But with Conte going to Tottenham as a new manager, he's going to want billions of pounds to spend in terms of transfers, and for them already paying off their stadium as well. I don't think it's going to work out. To be fair, I think it's a big shout for Conte to go to Spurs. Absolute big shout. But with Nuno getting sacked, I feel sorry for him because he's a good manager. Look how he done with Wolves, getting them to European football. And the way he's built the partnership between him and the players of Wolves, it feels like it's been wasted.
Yeah.
Wolves are not as good as they used to be with Nuno being in charge. So maybe him going to Spurs was a mistake. Tottenham's are too big of a club. Going from a small team like Wolves and then going to a top 6 side, that's a massive jump.
Would you have
So
also
really,
said,
I think it.
Yeah.
Go on,
would
Rich.
you also think that with Wolves that he built on that defensive solidity and pressing, and whereas Wolves are more of a going forward and attacking flair, and they've all so that his style necessarily didn't sort of combine. The two styles didn't combine as well.
But also, Richard, the players have to buy into that.
Oh yeah,
That's what
I
you said.
agree.
Yeah, I just got the feeling that the players were not playing for Nuno at Spurs.
But the fans are like us under for the older ones like us who saw Terry Neal and some George Graham and other managers, and we were used to sort of doubt. But those who've only seen Wenger have only been used to attractive style, possession based. So going to something more pragmatic isn't going to sit very well.
Yeah.
So you've got to always take into consideration, try and get those fans on side, and I don't think they were on side from the start.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Mourinho before that, which was Dow football, and they were getting fed up with that because it wasn't produced.
Let's go into live chat. So first up, we've got Noah who says, "Hello, Alex. Conte to Spurs, not happening. Not happening. Not happening.
It'd be a massive surprise.
It'd be a miracle. That's what it would be. Conte to win Premier League with a Man U. Do you think he'll probably go to Man U, Tim?
Yes.
Man U, I'd say.
He's a money man, like, let's be honest. And now the only thing that would come against him at Man U is that Man U I heard Man U have opened 5 theme parks in China. And you can go in and you can, have your picture taken. The Champions League final from 1999 rolls around. It's all this like theme. It's not football. It's entertainment. It's all this. And Ole fits that perfectly. He's the old boy. Fergie's, Gary Neville, all these guys in the media. Even Roy Keane, he's having a go yesterday at Harry Maguire, but he was slow enough to criticize Ole. So I think the biggest problem with Conte is that he'll come in and he'll want to play his style. Mikel Arteta has proven that I admired him before he did to Oz, and he stood up he wasn't going to be. I admired what he did with Aubameyang in the North London derby, dropping him for being late. He has shown that he has his principles, he has his ideas, he has a process, and he believes how the game should be played. Now we can often argue is it going to get us to win silverware? Are you going to get to your the top 2, 3, 4 places in the league? But he has belief. Ole has none of that. Well, not that he doesn't have, but he doesn't have the strength of character to enforce it. But if they bring in Conte, he will want to enforce his style. And Man United, that might not be so happy with teams that are building theme parks and want to get likes or want to develop social media platforms. That'd be his biggest drawback. And the Spurs thing, not a hope.
I think if Conte goes to United, he would put them in contention. He's a proven winner.
Yeah.
It'll be his way, and it will be his way.
Yeah.
And within 2 seasons, I think he'd win.
I also think another good manager would be for Man United would be Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
I think Zidane would be a good shout for Man United as well.
Yeah, but would he come?
I think Zidane would. I think Zidane would go to Man United. I think he would. I think he would because of Ronaldo. He's worked under Ronaldo before. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean with Ronaldo, and Varane, I should speak about there now. I mean, it's just he is quite low with English football, isn't he?
Sorry, guys, I've got to continue. Noah says, "Hello, Daniel," and Daniel Day-Lewis. That is. Hello, Captain Morgan's War Games, and hello to Alex and Richard, of course. And our moderator for the evening is CD. Says, hey up, Gooners, and hey up to you as well. Shaka to manage Spurs.
Player manager.
Well, let's pay his contract off now.
And actually, something I just
Is there
want
any
to say
bets on how many times he gets sent to the stands?
on a more serious note, Richard had great great stats there about yellow cards and tactics. But I wonder if you took Xhaka and his performances out of it, we'd probably be the best team in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he.
But let's be fair. I mean, even Vieira in his day did get reds.
Yeah.
I mean, Xhaka's a bit more of a brain fart. But when he does have a good game, he has a good game. Those brain farts are too often for my liking.
All right, DWTD says, hello, California TV. First thing I see is Xhaka. I'm sorry, he's scarred for life now. Conte arrived in London. Hope Conte doesn't sign for Spurs. I want him to sign for Man United so he can be a flop. What about you, Alex? I think I'll pass.
I'd be less worried if him signing for Spurs than United, because I don't see him making them contenders anytime soon. Yeah. There's too much work there to be done.
Yeah. Ashley D says, do not use that word fight in front of Xhaka. Well, he does fight, just not in the right way. Yeah. Ramsdale is outstanding.
Granit Xhaka fights for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And actually, Richard made a point earlier. Richard first, see the way I made, but he made a point earlier about Ramsdale. But I think Ramsdale, I don't know if he's a friend or a fan of Ben Foster. You know Ben Foster, the whatever goalie, West Brom goalie, and he's big into fitness and cycling and all this. And if you notice Ramsdale footwork, like to get across to the goal, his feet, he was like a cat. He was literally pouncing. I mean, he went full width. God, now he was lucky with the post, but like you make your look. He went the whole way, and more specifically, then when he got up again to make the second save. So that's a real sign of I will not be beaten. I'm a man of steel kind of. That's his outlook.
Yeah, and another thing with Ramsdale, it was on I think Sky Sports earlier. They brought up a sheet of shots and percentage saves. Only Edouard Mendy of Chelsea had a better save percentage per shots he's faced. So he was second, and that's you had Becker behind him. You had Martinez behind him. In fact, I can't remember who was last. I think it was Loris was last. I think.
No, it's the Everton goalkeeper.
Oh, Everton. Yeah, Pickford.
Yeah,
because they were talking about him becoming an England keeper, weren't they?
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I honestly reckon that save by Ramsdale that he made against Leicester was absolutely the best save of the season I've seen by any goalkeeper. The reason why his quick reaction to leap from the floor to save that ball and then for the double save to get it off the line as well. I think that was the best save of
block
by any goalkeeper. And there is no way that Lino would have made that. Not a chance. No way. And I think that Ramsdale has earned the right to be the number one goalkeeper. He's since in an Arsenal shirt, he's conceded no goals. He's conceded one goal, but that was from a defensive error from us.
And I think on that goal as well.
Yeah, that was
somebody picked it up from the tunnel, but the rest of the players were celebrating the week when then he was having to go at them. He said, "Why are you celebrating? We've conceded a goal. We shouldn't have conceded that goal."
Yeah.
And that's
And you know what? That goal against Tottenham, we shouldn't have conceded that either.
Yeah.
It was just what it was. Our players just switched off. That's what it was. They just switched off at the wrong moment.
But
when really, but
and I like
in
that.
an Arsenal shirt, he hasn't lost no matches,
Mm.
and he's kept clean sheets, and that's what we want from a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Someone who's strong and someone who's ambitious to say, look, I'm not having no ball getting past me.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah, and he provides great distribution. I mean, Gabriel, to me, looks like a player that is really happy now playing in front of Ramsdale. He knows that I'll do my job. I'll cut out the centre. I'll be strong in the air. He's good coming off his line. He's good feet. He's good distribution. I mean, Joe, you can often tell how players, how they value a goalkeeper by how they interact with him on the field. Like if they see him as the pressure's on, I'll give it to Ramsdale. And he's definitely fallen into that bracket in a big, big way now. He's himself. And like you must remember now, with two inexperienced fullbacks, really, Joe, you're right. Tierney's missing, so Tavares and Tomiasco, they're very experienced. Now White is a good, but you know, he really has brought that defense together. And clean sheets. One thing about clean sheets, you can't lose matches if you're getting clean sheets.
And the thing I was watching game from home. The fans were fantastic, and for the first time in a long time, I had 4 or 5 players having songs about them sung.
Yeah.
How long since that? Where multiple players? It's only normally ever been for a long time, 1 or 2, but there were 4 or 5 players getting songs sung about them up at Leicester.
Yeah.
So we're actually doing the things to reconnect with the fans. And you said about Tomiyasu. Now, what I like about him is, he's defensively solid, but he knows when to go forward and overlap and support the strikers as well. He doesn't do it often, but he chooses those moments, and they're right moments. So he's providing that balance.
My big question is, what is going to be a successful season for Arsenal this season? A trophy or top 4? Richard the first.
If I'm honest, I think for me, a successful season would be win the League Cup, win the Carabao Cup, win the FA Cup, and potentially top 6. That would be a successful season for me.
You're not asking for much, are you?
As long as we can get a good cup run and win a bit of silverware, I think because we're out of European football, I think that would be Arsenal's main target, is to go and win the EFL and go and win the FA Cup. That would be Arsenal's main targets. But I think I would be happy with top 6 or top 4, because I honestly think it's up for grabs. And the way we're performing, we can go and do it. But it's about consistency.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, for me,
because I've seen with our players that we've brought in, the likes of Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Lokongo, Nuno Tavares, those players that we've brought in, they have showed hunger that for us to go and win games, and that's what we want. So as long, like I said before, if we can keep those players strong and fit throughout the rest of the season, who knows what could happen?
Yeah. Daniel Day, for you, success this season.
Oh, I think top 4. I'm going to say it. I'm at it for a while. I'm going to go for 4th. The cups, brilliant to win a cup. Brilliant, but I don't know, a cup. No, the draw for the Carabao Cup is looking very good, isn't it? I mean, if you get there,
easy run.
Yeah,
easy run.
Easy. Well, yeah, easy enough anyway. Yeah, if you got to the semi-final, you never know. Although funny enough, Arsenal have a much better record in the FA Cup than they have in the League Cup. Strangely enough, but look, I'm going to go for 4. Fifth at a stretch. 5th at a stretch. I'll have to talk to my advisor. Like getting back across the water.
Richard II, success for you.
Definitely a flop. Either the EFL or the FA. Either one of them. Both would be nice, but either or. And at the start of the season, I would have said 5th, 6th. But considering what the other teams around that 4th position are doing, I'll tell you why not 4th.
Yeah.
We've got no Europe to worry about this season. So,
Richard.
no, I think
You're killing me.
I did say that. I did say that at the start. I did say that at the start for us to get 4th, but people was probably thinking that I'm mental because of our recent seasons. But the way as I said, as long as we can keep our main strikers fit, who says we can't go and get 4th? We can. It's up for grabs. It's up for grabs. We can.
I mean, fitness, injuries, and suspensions. If we keep the majority of that first team together all season, they should be playing pretty much week in, week out, because we're not having 3 or 4 games a week now, because we're not in Europe. So we've got that time to rest, train for the following league match. When the FA Cup comes around, fair enough, but you expect a bit of change in that anyway. Especially
against the African Cup of Nations as well. What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
We're going to miss Alba. We're going to miss El Neni. We're going to miss Thomas Partey.
But but we've got players who can play in midfield. You got Chambers. You got Ben White. You have Xhaka back. But I hope we don't get another midfield player.
Yeah.
I mean, why not Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips?
Yeah.
I like those two, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. They're good defensively. They're good with the ball at their feet. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
why not spend a bit of money on? Because you can then ship Xhaka out, and you've got 3 decent options in that central midfield, haven't you? I mean,
I don't know. Guys, we'll come to an end. We're going for an hour and almost 15 minutes. And I'll tell you what, it's flown by so very quick. Really, really quick. And maybe we might have to assemble you guys again for another segment. But it's been really interesting. Richard the First, it's good to have you back, man. Too long.
I like the old style shirt.
For sure.
Richard II, wonderful debut. And I'll tell you what, it's the first time you come on, and it won't be the last time. We're going to get you back on. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's on.
Brilliant. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Goodbye from across the Irish.
Top 4, Daniel Day.
I'm going for top 4. Not so sure about the cups. The cups I have me doubts about. But I do believe Richard II's point. We have good spacing out of it. The biggest problem is our strikers. We have 2 good strikers, but 1 injury, and you're in severe trouble. And the age profile of them is poor. But hey, we'll have a positive outlook. And Lacazette with Odegaard, maybe they're even kind of using him already. Maybe not giving Lacazette full matches, so maybe they're conscious that they'll need to keep him fresh for the second part of the season. That could be a factor too. Yeah.
And maybe
it was brilliant. I enjoyed it.
So that's it, guys. That's the end of the 8th installment of the Canon Project. Every Monday, 5:30 p.m. And maybe we might assemble the same familiar faces for the next week, Monday, Canon Project. Yeah. Or maybe they might be on the Easy Talk. You don't know. You don't know what happens on Canon 40 TV. Anything goes over here. One thing for sure, we have not missed Granit Xhaka, have we? I haven't missed him.
So easy, Granit. Not missed yet.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on this segment on the Canon Project. I will be back tomorrow evening, giving some more segmented live news on this wonderful channel of ours. But in the meantime, you have been listening to Canon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.